Hi everyone, it's Alda Willian, and in this video, I will talk about a topic that I rarely talk about before, namely about speaking modules of Ielts. So without any further ado, let's get started. In this video, I will focus on one tactic that can be used in section 3 of speaking modules of Ielts. So let's get started. Everyone, I do believe that all of you who have experience taking the Ielts are very common with my explanations. There are 3 parts to the speaking modules, which last between 11 until 14 minutes. You will be alone in a room with one examiner who will ask you questions and ask you to talk on certain topics. The interview will be recorded and you will be able to make notes in part 2 only. So in part 2, you are allowed to take a note. And then the topics include discussion about you, maybe your family, and other topics of everyday interest. Let's see this table for the complete one. In section 1, we have to answer questions about ourselves or maybe our activities. Maybe we are asked to explain our hobbies, our jobs, our study, or other topics of everyday interest. This section will be only between 4 or 5 minutes. Meanwhile, in section 2, we have to talk on a topic presented on a task card. Section 2 is different with other sections because we are given 1 minute for preparation before answering the questions. We have to pay attention that it is required for us to use this time as effective as possible to take notes, to predict the possible follow-up questions, and so on and so on. This section will be only between 3 minutes until 4 minutes. 1 minute for preparations, and then 1 until 2 minutes for speaking, and 1 minute for follow-up questions. Lastly, in section 3, we have to discuss with the examiner issues related to the topics in part 2. It will be about 4 to 5 minutes, so we have to be ready with that. Our focus in this video is discussing one tactic to perform well in section 3. What is it? It is about delay tactics. How do we implement this tactic? Let's talk about this. We sometimes need time to think about what we are going to say. A short silence is okay, but a long one is obviously not, so be careful with that. Remember, we have only a short amount of time to show how well we speak English in section 3. Let's imagine, everyone. Imagine if we give a question to our friend, but she does not answer it directly. She is only silent. What will you feel, everyone? It is not nice, is it? Obviously, it is not nice. The examiner also will feel the same if we are silent in a very long time. So please avoid long silence. However, I know we need time to think the best answer for the examiner questions. Instead of being silent, we actually can respond in a different way, which is better. First of all, we can paraphrase the examiner's question. Let's say, for example, the examiners give us one question: what kinds of books do you prefer to read? Instead of being silent, we actually can respond by saying, well, what are my favorite books? Something like that. When we paraphrase these questions, we can fill the silence with something else. We still engage in the conversation with the examiners. And at the same time, we actually are thinking the best answer for the questions. So that's what we have to do. We can also use certain phrases to provide transition and fill the silence. For example, let's say the examiner asks, please tell something that you have in common with your friends. We can reply by saying, that's an interesting question. We can say something like that instead of being silent. Okay? When we say that, actually, our brain is working to arrange the best answer. So this delay tactic is very, very useful for us to give us time thinking the best answer without being silent. Here are some other useful phrases to provide transition and fill the silence. That's an interesting question. I've never thought about that before. There are a lot of different reasons and I've never heard that before. That's a complicated issue. There are many ways to answer that and many more actually. So that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Again, avoid long silence. Instead of being silent, we can fill this silence by saying something else. See you everyone in the next video.